Thank you for the introduction. Hello, and also from my side, welcome here in Budapest for the Innoworld and for this great conference. My name, as have been introduced, is Werner Dorfmeister. I'm Chief Technologist at HP, so I have the fun part in the company. I can deal with technology, with new stuff, can develop new things, and I have been asked to talk today about something we did last year in the area of Internet of Things and in the area of creating sensor platforms, and talk a little bit about what this technology could do to modern mobility and modern cars and how we deal in the future with this topic like connected cars. Last year we did an event sponsoring, which does not happen too often to HP, but this was the plan of a guy to drive from the North Cape to the Cape in South Africa, so from Cape to Cape, within a really fast time, and to break the world record. And when I heard about this crazy attempt to break the world record, driving from Cape to Cape, I thought by myself, this is a good opportunity to test some of our equipment. And this is what I would like to present to you. It's the Touareg world record attempt to drive from Cape to Cape below 10 days. The world record before we started that was about 30 days. And so you can imagine this was a challenging activity, and I love challenges. So that's the reason why we started to support this team. And before I talk too much about what it is about, a video normally is showing more than 1,000 words. So I hope this will work here, because we didn't have a chance to test it. That's my boss, by the way, Suki Gill. Very easy to recognize with his nice hat on the head. But this is it's also a crazy guy, so a lot of crazy guys in HP technology labs. And he's now talking about what we are doing. Is the sound working now?
Looks like.
Yeah.
Welcome to the 2014 Cape to Cape World Record Talk. My name is Suki Gill. I'm a Chief Technologist at HP. It's my job to develop groundbreaking ideas and drive innovative solutions. The race is on. It's 19,000 kilometers from the North Cape to South Africa. The race team is braving the elements from the icy north to the heat and dust of the desert.
The HP tablet delivers us very important
That's the driver, German guy.
So what motivates HP to support the 2014 Cape to Cape World Record Talk? Well, it's not only about helping the driver be faster than anyone else. It's about driving innovation in business. HP addresses this challenge through the new style of IT. It's about new IT-enabled business models that make a significant difference. One of the key technologies in this space is big data. It's transforming entire industries, particularly the automotive industry, financial services and retail. What makes big data so exciting? It gives us vital insight into the things that matter. To unleash its potential, big data is joining forces with social media and data visualization. For Cape to Cape, applications developed by HP let motor enthusiasts share the thrill of the talk and motivate the race team. So how long will it take for a sizable Cape to Cape fan community to develop? Well, by the cloud, HP analytics services can be used to test the effectiveness of social media channels for messaging and creating awareness. Beyond Cape to Cape, the new style of IT is also applicable in adjacent industries like insurance, road infrastructure, and manufacturing. Some examples here. So good drivers avoid unnecessary risks even when they're in a hurry. HP's cloud-based analytics services enable insurance companies to identify the behavioral patterns of drivers. As a result, safe drivers will pay lower premiums. The business value for insurers is in the opportunity to reduce customer churn. Secondly, sensors installed in the vehicle themselves track road conditions. HP technologies help infrastructure management authorities analyze this data so that road maintenance can be prioritized. And finally, turning our attention to the automotive industry and manufacturing, wear and durability of car components are assessed to detect under or over engineering. Big data analysis generates usage profiles that serve to optimize the design and service life of automotive components. These are just some examples of what IT-enabled business models can do for entire industries. HP is making it happen. Let's drive IT-enabled business innovation.
Yeah, basically, my boss already said what it is about. For us, it was a test of how much data can we get out of a running car that is driving through extreme conditions, and what kind of business models could we drive in support by getting this data connected and analyzing it. So it's a question of not only having the computing capabilities. I think computing capabilities today are not a big thing, because this little device here, this little phone, has more computing power than a mainframe about 25 years ago, and costs less than a computer that you bought 5 years ago. So from that perspective, the key critical question today in the world of Internet of Things, in the world of sensor technology, is not so much the computing power anymore. It's more the question of the connection between the computing power, the sensing technology, and the application that understands what data is created out of that. And this is exactly where we are working on. And I was pretty surprised when we were discussing that with our partners like Volkswagen, because I assumed that a company like Volkswagen, BMW, Mercedes, you name it, already have this kind of data, already do this kind of tests. And guess what? We found out they don't. This world record tour was not only just a nice showcase, it became an interesting test run for the automobile industry, because normally they do their tests in certain geographies and do a test in the north, then they transport all the testing vehicles to the south, do the test in the south. But it has never been done before to do just this kind of test from very cold regions through the center of Europe, where you have very good road conditions, all the way down to the south, where it's very hot and where we have complete different road conditions. And therefore, we found that this is really interesting for the automobile industry. But as Suki said in the call, or in the video, it is not only interesting for the automobile industry. You know, we are coming to a complete different economy by using sensing technology, by implementing sensors into platforms where you didn't have that. And when you all believe IoT, Internet of Things, integrating this kind of technology into our daily life is something that could happen in 5 years or 10 years, just think about, and I come back to this device. This device has more sensors and more measurement devices already built in that I had in the laboratory in my school about 20 years ago when I studied high-frequency electronics. So the point here is it's not a question of technology. It's also not so much a question of the analytics part. It's more a question of doing it, implementing it, and creating more new business models out of it. So driving through this route and creating this world record, and let me take it up front, we broke the world record, but not in 9 days, which was the original plan. It took us about 20 days. The reason was, unfortunately, in Africa, we had a big crash. So a car hit our race car, and the Touareg was completely damaged. And so we had to break a second world record. We exchanged the whole engine in the car, including all the things in front of the engine and on the side of the engine, in Africa, without having any complex tools, without having any machinery around, within about 10 days. So ordering all the equipment, ordering the new engine, getting the new engine there, and installing that. The key point for us was that the outcome that we took, and here you see the tour, the outcome for us is, what do you do with a connected car? Is it really about collision prevention? Is it about prevention of moving through heavy traffic and getting the best routes? I think most of these things you can imagine already today, and if you have an expensive car, some of these things, like all these collision prevention systems, you have already built in today. The real new thing of having real true connected cars will be how they exchange data among each other, how they deal, for instance, with the problem to find the best parking lot here in this street, and talk to the system that tells them which parking lots are available. And if you think about, that is something that might come in 10 years from now, we implemented a project in the US with a service provider, and the service provider is doing nothing else than managing parking lots. And he's making a business out of that because he's offering a service for cities to manage the parking lots in the cities in telling the people where is the best parking lot. So it's not so much any problem more for the driver in San Diego to decide where he's going to park. The system is helping him to take this decision and giving him the best option, and tell all the other drivers that this parking lot is now already taken or almost taken because the guy who is right now standing in front of the parking lot is now parking his car there. So it's a question of connecting these things with each other. But it's also a question of changing business models. I give you another example out of another mobile industry, the airline industry. If you take Rolls-Royce, not the car manufacturer, but the jet engine manufacturer as an example, you might think of Rolls-Royce, they are producing and selling jet engines. With that, you are just 50% right. Reason is, Rolls-Royce is not selling jet engines anymore. Rolls-Royce, the largest jet engine manufacturer in the world, second largest is General Electric, then comes Pratt & Whitney, and then a Russian company. So it's only 4 companies in the world that are today producing large jet engines for aircrafts. This industry has a problem. And you might think, which problem can this industry have? Because there are only 4 manufacturers, it's kind of a monopoly. Yeah, but the problem is, who is producing airplanes? And on the other hand, if you can count more than 5 companies, serious companies, that are producing aircrafts that use jet engines in a large scale, you're already done. So this market is a very closed market. So Rolls-Royce, the market leader, was seeing a big issue a couple of years ago when we had this when we stepped into the economic crisis because nobody wanted to invest into airplanes anymore. So what they thought about was, how can we create a sustainable business for this company? We cannot sell our jet engines currently. Obviously, in a couple of years, sales will go up, but what do we do from today until then? So what they did was, they changed the complete business model. They're not selling jet engines anymore. They are not selling to the aircraft manufacturing companies like Boeing and so on anymore. They are selling flight hours to the carriers. So Lufthansa, British Airways, and so on. So what they did was, instead of addressing these 5 large aircraft manufacturers, they said, we want to address the much broader base of air carriers. But how can they sell flight hours? So it's very simple. What they did was they implemented sensors in their jet engines and a satellite phone. They rented a satellite or several satellites around the world. And what they do is they track all the data from these jet engines. And by getting all the data and knowing how the jet engine is used, they can offer their customers that they only pay per use. And by the way, this is reducing maintenance and repair and operational costs for the airline carriers dramatically, because they know much better when a jet engine has to be into maintenance. So if we talk about things like connected cars, we should not think about the technology in the first hand. The first thing that we should think of is how the business model is going to change. And if you now think, okay, this is a very specific example talking about Rolls-Royce and how they changed their business model, how they changed their customer base. Think about what's going on in the transportation industry, especially around cars. In most cities today, we have a big issue with traffic. The problem is, we had in the 80s and 90s a movement, especially in Central Europe, that cities become smaller or did not grow anymore, because people started to move out of the cities in the suburbs, like in the US. What is happening now is the exact opposite. People are again moving into the city. And the second issue we have, and we will have that even strong in the future, people get older. So we have an aging society. For people in the age of 70 or 80, it's not so easy and not so fun anymore to drive their own car. And the third thing that is going to happen is our economy is not running that fast anymore, and it was 10, 15, 20 years ago. So it's not so easy for young people to afford their own car anymore. So I'm teaching at the university since 20 years, and I always check and ask my students if they have driving license and if they have their own cars. So the ownership of driving license is staying flat in terms of percentage. So most of the young people do their driving license with 16 or with 18. That's not the big issue. But what is changing in the young generation, in the millennials, is ownership of cars. It is not sexy anymore to own your own car, especially when you live in a big city. It is not a status symbol for the young generation anymore to drive a wonderful Audi or Mercedes, or to get their Golf. When I was young, I grew up in a small town in Austria, close to Vienna. For me, it was the most important thing to get my driving license, to before the driving license to have my motorcycle, then to get my driving license, and then to get the car to get out of this city as fast as possible. Yeah? This is not sexy anymore. Why? First of all, if you live in an urban area like Budapest, public transport is getting better and better. Second thing is, if you have communication to do, especially for young people to meet beautiful women or beautiful boys and get together, you don't need to travel into a discotheque anymore. This is not the place where you meet people. You get in touch with your girlfriend online. And 60% of the young generations meet their girlfriend or their boyfriend online. So that's not a phenomenon that is for a small percentage. That is a large percentage. You don't need to leave your house to study. Yeah? You can do most of the studying, except some exams, from home. You don't need to go into the university. So it's not sexy to own a car. And then, what's happening on top of that? We are moving into a sharing economy. So for young people, it's completely normal not to own a car, but to use something like Car2Go. And when you look into the adoption rate of Car2Go, which is a service that you have a credit card, and you have your mobile phone, and you are a subscriber of that service, you see where is the next car standing around. You go out, if you live in the urban area in Vienna, I think it's about 100 meters to the next car. And what you do is you step into that car, you drive wherever you want to go, and you leave the car there. You have no issues with service of the car, you have no issues with the cost, you just pay per go. And that is changing the whole business model for car manufacturers, because it's a complete difference to sell you or me a car or to sell 10,000 cars to a company like Car2Go. If you are in that business selling to Car2Go, Car2Go will dictate you how the car should look like. And I did not even talk, and my time is now already over, I get several nice signals from the back. But if you think about what that means for the business model of car manufacturers, I have not even touched the problem that they are entering into electric cars that is rising by companies like Google and Apple who are going to produce their own cars. We are going to go into a changing economy, and that is what connected cars really mean. So, last slide here. HP is working in that field, and we are partnering with partners in the market. And I'm not very good in Hungarian, I'm very sorry. So that's why I'm talking in English to you. But I got a little bit about the entrepreneurs and the companies who are now here in Hungary moving forward. And Hungary was always a great country of having great inventors and great creators. Like Austria, most probably Hungary was not always very famous for good marketing and getting that out in the whole world. But we have great inventors, great people who have good ideas. And the most important thing for us as HP is we want to connect with you. So I think if there are companies coming to the market or people who would like to go to the market, I would be very interested to talk to you if you are doing business in the Internet of Things world, if you are thinking about new applications in the connected car world, because we don't believe that we know all things that are going to happen. We are just like we heard about the incubator before. We are a company who could help to enable things moving forward We have a broad customer base. We are connected to Ford. We are connected to Volkswagen, as you have heard, and to other manufacturers in that area. So whoever is interested in working with us, has great ideas, we would like to create a partner ecosystem. And I think we in Europe, and especially in this part of the world, where we have the automotive clusters around us, where we always had a good base of engineers and a good base of inventors, we could really make a difference and should not leave all the innovations that is upcoming to the Americans, who have a good marketing, by the way. With that, let me say thank you for listening. It's a very hot day. The weather outside is really beautiful. So therefore, let me say double thank you for listening to me. And I'm also ready to answer all your questions. Thank you very much.